Welcome to Dare to Soar with your host, Dr. RC. Dr. RC will empower, encourage, and strengthen you. She will help you to soar to your highest potential while instilling hope. Please welcome the host of Dare to Soar, Dr. RC.
Great Saturday morning, everyone. Oh, and what a Saturday morning. I don't know what the weather is like where you are, but it's a little chilly, just a tad bit chilly here in Georgia. But we're not going to allow that to stop progress. I am Dr. RC, and yes, you are tuned into Dare to Soar, coming to you live from the BBM Global Network and Tune In Radio. Oh gosh, this morning I have a special guest with me. I say that about all of my guests because that's just absolutely how I feel about that. We're going to be talking about leading with purpose, a social worker's journey to transforming student services. And who else? Dr. Natasha Scott. But before we dive into our question, guys, I want to give you a little bit of background about Dr. Scott. Dr. Natasha Scott is the Executive Director of Student Services for Cumberland County Schools in Fayetteville, North Carolina. She has 26 years of experience in public education as an adjunct professor in social work. She has also served on various state and national social work boards and committees, such as the North Carolina chapter of the National Association of Social Workers, NASW School Social Work Specialty Committee, and the committee responsible for updating the school social work national standards. Dr. Scott is a proud alumni of North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, and UNC Chapel Hill. Now, while she loves being a social worker, her most important role, and these are her words, are daughter, sister, auntie, and fur mama to Miss Missy, her Yorkie friend, and a church member. Good morning, Dr. Scott. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Dr. Rivers, Madam President.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here as well. We're going to dive in. And guys, before we get started, 1-866-451-1451 is the contact call-in number. Join us. I know Dr. Scott would be more than happy to answer any questions that you have, but I want to make great use of this hour that I have with her this morning since she decided to join me on her Saturday morning. So, with that being said, Dr. Scott, can you share a bit about your background and just what inspired you to pursue a career in social work with the Dare to Soar audience?
The social work story. I love to hear people's social work story. I always ask that question. It's kind of like, how do we all end up in this space? So for me, in high school, I was helpful nosy in high school, just like I am as a social worker. So I had a classmate. His name was Ricky, and he was a standout athlete. He was recruits were looking at him for basketball scholarships. I mean, he was just doing a fantastic job. And at one point, right in the middle of the basketball season, he stopped coming to school. And as he stopped coming to school, and of course we would go to the games and, watch the games or whatever. And it was noticeable that he wasn't there. And I asked one of my friends, like, where is he? Why isn't he coming to school? And then someone explained that his mother died and that he hadn't been back to school. And 17-year-old Natasha got in her little Toyota Corolla, and I made my first home visit. Child, grown, grown, grown. Okay. I went to see him. I'm from small town North Carolina. I went to see him. Like, I just felt so bad that his mom had died, and I knew he was, recruits were looking at him for a scholarship, and I wanted to know what was going on, and I wanted him to come back to school. And he did come back to school to the evening program. He did not finish, but I mean, I was on the phone at a payphone calling Brunswick Tech, talking to the community college,
Mhm.
um, the principal. I had a graduation gown ordered for him, all of that, and I was trying to push him. I met him at school the first day that he returned. So that was 17-year-old Natasha. So I say all of that to say I'd like to think that school social work is just in me. It's my ministry, it's who I am. Um, it doesn't really even feel like work to me. It's just me, just kind of, being me, helping people, getting to know community resources. I like to know how things work. And that is really where my social work story began. Of course, I didn't know at that time um, that a school social worker was even a thing. I
Mm.
had an auntie who was very influential, and she was a social worker at DSS, and I was very close to her. But I had no idea that freshman orientation at A&T, they said, raise your hand if you're going to do the school certification. And it was kind of like, what does that mean? We're all sitting there, and I just kind of, does that mean you can get a job in a school? I don't know. So I just raised my hand, and I did it. And so I from there I was on that track for school social work. Um, and it just kind of happened from there. Again, I say haphazardly, but again, I said one of the things about me is I am a Christian. I do love the Lord. I love to go to church, and I believe that the Lord's hand was just always in it and just kind of guided me where I was supposed to be, even before I had a clue. So I look back on all those kinds of things, and I just laugh that that is my social work story. It was already laid out for me. Even when I went to graduate school, after working as a school social worker for 3 years, I thought, I don't like this. I don't like principals. They get on my nerves. Ugh, they get in the way. Like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And so I'm going to be a therapist. And at the therapist clinic, I was always down there hanging out with the dropouts. They had a school program,
Mhm.
and as a therapist, I was going on school visits. It's like, if I could just go with this mom to her meeting at school, I can help her so much better. She can still come to the office. So it's just kind of, so that's my story. And I'm sticking with it. That's how I ended up in this space.
Well, that's a fantastic story. Because like you said, and I'm a true believer too, that God doesn't put you in spaces without an intention behind it. It's just us, He wants us to see our way through it. So that's a beautiful, beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. It is time for a commercial break, guys. Don't go away. I told you this gets better. So come on back. Join us with Dr. Natasha Scott, who is going to just turn your world upside down and give you some enlightening information about the work that we do. So we will be right back.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network, and tune in radio as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Great Saturday morning, guys, once again. Oh, yes, I'm Dr. RC, of course, and this is Dare to Soar, coming to you live from the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. This morning, I have Dr. Natasha Scott. What is she talking about? I'm so glad that you're wondering. Leading with Purpose, a social worker's journey to transforming student services. And once again, it is with Dr. Natasha Scott. I gave a bit of a bio, but guess what? It's so much more to hear because how she transforms this process is incredible. Now, with that being said, I want to ask you, Dr. Scott, what does leading with purpose mean to you? And how has it shaped your journey in student services?
So for me, leading with purpose, it's all tied to having a vision for steering the program in in the direction, at least that I feel that it needs to go. It means being intentional about who's on the team. I see my role as establishing the infrastructure for student services. So I need to make sure that the resources are there so that school social workers, counselors, and psychologists can do their job and do them well. Resources, high quality training, funding for additional positions, funding for programs for students, and that they are able to show up and do those things very well. That is how I'm able to touch and have an impact with students. Although I may not see them and talk with them on a daily basis, I am certainly talking about them, thinking about them, praying about them on a daily basis. And through that work of trying to make sure that the staff are good and that the procedures and the processes are good, then in that way, I'm able to still have an impact for young people and their parents.
Mm. And that is so powerful and profound because oftentimes our families and our students don't feel that anyone is advocating for them, and we know within this work that we do, we're advocating at the grassroots, but it's as important to advocate in that executive role as well, because those conversations are critical and pivotal to have for us to work in collaboration to get things done. So thank you so much. Thank you for the job that you're doing and your commitment to that as well. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. And then, not to mention, and I'm just going to say this before I go into the next question, is I want to say making others aware of the role and the work that's being done and the purpose of that role as well. It's just enlightening them about what is happening, because they say you don't know what you don't know, but when you have a voice that's speaking and sharing that information with you, it's how you want to
Mhm.
pull it apart and disseminate it, and that's important. That's key and important as well. So thank you once again.
You
Now, what's
absolutely
that?
have to share your vision.
Yes.
You have to share that vision so that other people will know what it is that you're actually trying to do.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Guys, you're hearing from Dr. Natasha Scott. 1-866-451-1451 is the call-in number. Also, we are on LinkedIn Live, Instagram, and Facebook Live. Go ahead and put in Bold Brave Media. You will see the both of us right here coming through in real time during this hour. So, Dr. Scott, as I continue on, was there a pivotal moment or even experience that just motivated you to focus on transforming student services?
There are multiple things. A member on my team at one point, one that I love dearly and trust, we have been on this journey together for over 20 years. And at one point, she was just talking and she happened to say, I don't know what the vision is. I don't know where we're going. And that was her just speaking her true heart. And of course, that spoke to my heart because that let me know that I had not done a good job of communicating. I was showing up for work every day and I was working very hard. And I had lots of things in my mind and my heart about what the gaps were in the program. But in order to be in that role as a leader, you've got to communicate that leaders need people to follow them and followers need leaders. And
Mhm.
so, together, as you do that work together, you've got to communicate what the vision is so that they can help you bring it to fruition. It's not about the leader getting in the seat and doing all the work and steering the boat all by yourself. You've got to have people that also believe in that vision and help you to shape it. And so that was a very pivotal moment to me, that again, I needed to be speaking more loudly and clearly and helping people to see what the vision was. The pandemic was also a pivotal moment. It was an opportunity. It was certainly one of the good things that came out of the
Mhm.
pandemic, I would say, or a benefit, is that it created a platform for social workers, counselors, psychologists to kind of take front and center, because now you have educators in the whole world is talking about the youth mental health crisis and epidemic and the need for more services and programs. And the fact that we had that shutdown, it was an opportunity to really transform and have some funding to go behind it to transform how we do business. What we do, the job description of a school social worker coming into a building right now, I personally believe is very different than how it looked. Um, we won't say how many years ago when Dr. Rivers and I came into school social work. That what we were doing back then and what we're doing now, the problems are the same, but they're more complicated. Um, but it's different.
Whew. That's all I can say. I mean, I could. It's so I can't even get the words out to. Um, it's we don't even need a magnifying glass, because the magnifying glass is right there as we enter these buildings. It is right there. It is so prevalent. And one thing about it is that things that we may have taken notice that a high schooler or a middle schooler may have been experiencing, it's happening in an elementary school, in our
Yes,
elementary schools, which is
yes,
absolutely so profound, because you want to say to
yes,
yourself, it's that humanistic side that says, well, baby, you haven't been on this earth that long. What can
yes,
you possibly be experiencing? But when you hear the stories, the true
yes,
stories that of the journeys that they have traveled, the roads, they're creating roadmaps in elementary school of all they've experienced. I don't want to get drawn into that, because that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother show. Trust me, guys. Oh, I'm here with Dr. Scott. We're talking about leading with purpose. She's sharing what her role is, her vision is, and going to give you even more information. It is time for another commercial break. Don't go away. But while we're on this commercial break, grab your friends, tell them to come on over and join us with Dare to Soar. We'll see you back in a few minutes.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back once again. I am Dr. RC, your host, and yes, coming to you live from the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio, and you are listening to Dare to Soar. Guys, I'm here with Dr. Natasha Scott, talking about leading with purpose, a social worker's journey to transforming student services. Now, 1-866-451-1451. I have to slide that in there to let you all know how to call and to tap into her brain as well. And she's going to share before the broadcast is ended how you can make contact with her also. LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook Live. You will see us right here doing this broadcast during this hour. But I want to get back into our questions for this morning. And the next one is we know we have the positives, and I'm trying to think of another word than negatives because I don't really like that word. But be that as it may, I'll say challenges, and that leads into my question. So, as a leader in social work, and I want to make that clear, listeners, in social work, hear it, embed that in your brains. In social work, what challenges have you faced while advocating for students and families, and how have you overcome them?
Hmm. Ooh, that's a deep one. Challenges, I would say, one is um, as a social worker in the school setting, our value system is different than the value system of educators. Certainly, we are all there looking for, hoping for, working towards the success of students. But what we look at and what we focus on is different. So we are very focused on the strengths of students and how we can build on those things and put a plan in place to, work with either those services available in the district or pulling on things in the community, things already in the family. And the school is primarily focused on the deficits and how to improve their reading and writing scores, how to erase that poor behavior, how to make you sit in your seat and raise your hand, test scores, those kinds of things. And so sometimes, as the social worker, whether you're the supervisor or the school social worker, and you come in talking about student strengths and all the barriers and things that are impacting the student, you can be typecast as a bleeding heart. People can sometimes feel that you don't understand, you don't get it because you're just the social worker. You're worried about that handful of kids, and I'm trying to worry about the whole building. And so the mindset and the perspective can be different. Also, another barrier I would say, as I think about my MSW program and BSW program, you know, you don't learn how to be a leader per se in school. There
Mhm.
are classes and things about that, but you don't, that's a thing that you learn when you get on the job. So knowing how to go in and advocate, but at the end of the day, you got to remember that this is still your colleague. You still got to work beside these people, and you want these great outcomes for students, but you might also need that same principle to support your agenda at some point. Maybe you might have some program that you're pushing for all students, and you don't want to principal that's out there banging the drum saying, no, I'm not going to support that. We're not going to implement that in my school. And so it's a lot of listening, building relationships, being patient, staying focused, and not getting deterred.
Mhm.
Developing a common language with principals so that
Yes.
you can speak their language and speak in a language that really resonates with them about why whatever it is that's happening with little Johnny, you can do that differently. Or maybe you might be advocating for a social worker themselves and what their role is and how they're utilized in that school. But it's a lot about developing relationships, going in, and in this age of technology, we want to send a text and an email. But one of my best strategies, Dr. RC, is to get in my little car and go over to the school and sit
Mhm.
down with that principal. I might be walking and talking, I might be sitting down on the other side of the desk, but building and cultivating those relationships all the time so that we can really sit down and talk, have crucial conversations, get down to the crux of it, and still be friends at the end of it, at the end of that conversation, because we're all working, even though we go about it differently, we're all going about it the same way. And then the last thing I would say in terms of those barriers is having folks like you, Dr. RC, having a network, having a mentor, people that you can also talk to, because sometimes you walk out of that school building and you have to get in your little car and turn that music up, or turn that music up, or just kind of look, or for me, go get that ice cold Dr. Pepper and just kind of sip on that for a minute before you go to the next before you go to the next crisis or task or whatever, and just kind of reflect like, okay, that was really crazy. What are they
Yes.
thinking about over there? So that good self-care, staying focused, having a mentors and support systems, but also just truly always building and cultivating relationships with your coworkers so that you can really talk when those issues arise.
Oh, I love that. I love that. A couple of things that you brought out in that. One, the first thing, and I'm going to go to the last thing, was with your colleagues. And, we have a colleague, and I'll say because she's a social worker also, that talks about work buddies. Now, we've heard about work buddies time and time again. When you pick up that phone and say, hey, let me just vent a little bit to tell you what happened. Let me just kind of strategize some things with you. And that's always a plus because oftentimes we are working in buildings by ourselves, in
Mhm.
at times isolated situations. And you don't ever need to feel like you're doing this by yourself because you're not. You're not walking this path by yourself. The other point I wanted to just reiterate was that I loved that you brought forth was the fact about you coming out from your role and coming to talk to the principals to build that rapport, to build those relationships, to see where their head is, and how can we bond together to make it make it even more profound and better, because it's all about the children when it all at the end of the day. But I also say that one thing that I have learned in practice, and I'm sure a lot of our colleagues also, or at least I'm hoping that they would have learned, or if not, they can take it away from this broadcast, is that build those relationships yourself with your principals in that building and your administrative team, because that's going to be key. Make yourself visible in that building to let them know, hi, this is who I am. State your name. I am, and say it with confidence. I am the social worker in this building. When it comes to school, I am the school social worker in the building. We're here to build, to collaborate, because once again, it's all about students and giving them the quality of life and the tools that they need so they can grow up to be productive adults as well. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I just had to jump in on that, guys. 1-866-451-1451. Speaking with Dr. Natasha Scott, leading with purpose is our conversation. I want to delve into this next question, but we may have a commercial break that's going to come in. And if we do, I'll just say, hold, let's go for commercial break. But I wanted to ask, can you describe your vision for student services and how you are working to bring that vision to life? And there's the commercial break. So guys, hold on. I knew it was coming. I will ask that question to her again, so those who missed it, would have it with clarity. But don't go away. This is a good conversation. It truly, truly is, and it's to empower and encourage so many individuals and let them know what this field is about. And we are leaders in this field. So we will be right back after this commercial break.
Mike Zorek, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorek, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorek has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network. What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related disease. diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense Radio Show with host Dr. Broderick. Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation.
Welcome back once again. Yes, I am Dr. RC, your host, and you are definitely listening to Dare to Soar. I'm here with my guest this morning, Dr. Natasha Scott, leading with purpose, and that's just a snippet of it, a social worker's journey. She is imparting such great information, and I know that your notebooks should be filled. You should be flipping those pages, taking notes so you can go back. I hope that you grabbed a friend to this broadcast during our commercial break. If not, let them know that they can watch it, the replay of it. But I would love for you to come on live while you're here, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Right before the break, I asked Dr. Scott, can she describe, or I asked her, can you describe your vision for student services and how you are working to bring that vision to life? Yes, I said to life because it's all about it. She spoke about a vision, shared about the vision. So, hey, Dr. Scott, it's on you.
All right. So my vision is that every school would be adequately staffed with school social workers, counselors, and psychologists to meet the needs of students and families. And then in addition to having an adequate number of staff, as we think about those, always working towards those national ratios and also looking at the unique needs of our individual schools. And then in addition to that, as a district, are we providing again that infrastructure so that when you have all these specialized instructional support personnel in the schools, are you providing the tools that they need, some programming, programming, basic needs, and all the stuff that they need to do their job, training, all the stuff that they need to do their job well. And then the other thing that is high, high, high on my list is interdisciplinary collaboration.
Mm.
That is amongst my staff. They get so tired of me saying that, but that is about the mutual respect between school
Yes.
social workers, counselors, psychologists, administrators, and teachers, understanding what each other's role is and respecting the expertise that we each bring to the table. There is enough work. There are complicated problems in school, so there's enough work for everybody. There's no need for any turfism, right? And we need to be a well-oiled machine. If the school social worker is not doing well, the school counselor should care about that. If the school counselor is not doing well, the school social worker should care about that, because whatever is happening to one group can absolutely happen to the other. And so we have these unique but overlapping roles, but we need to be supporting each other. Teachers need but to just walk in the hallway and you can see another teacher that can tell you how to do your job. You don't know how to do the lesson, you don't know how to turn on the smart board or whatever it is. There are mentors all throughout the building, but that school social worker is in that building by him or herself, and you
Mhm.
may have to drive several miles and wait days and weeks till the meeting before you can even see another social worker. And some of you are the only social worker in your building. So that
Yes.
makes that school counselor and that school psychologist, important in terms of having a support system on a daily basis. So I get off that soapbox, but that interdisciplinary collaboration, that is a big, big part of my vision, um, because I don't like for other people put us against each other, and I don't like when we have turfism amongst ourselves. Not good for us, not good for children. How we bring that vision about. So one of the first things we did was we looked at the current mission statement for Cumberland for student services as a department, and we worked as a group to develop a mission statement that represented all three of us, the vision, all three specialty groups, who we are and where we're going and how we think we impact students. And we like to think that we identify barriers and create opportunities. That
Mm.
is kind of our tagline for student services. So that's one of the things. We do a lot of cross training. So, like at the beginning of the year, and there are times all throughout the year where we have training that is everybody together. We have 3 system-wide PD days, and at some point during those 3 days, I have my whole team, all 300 of them, in a high school auditorium, because I want them to hear updates. And again, remember that lesson I learned really quickly early on is you got to be communicating the vision, not just to the people at the central office, but pushing it down to the school as well. And so in those meetings, we're talking about things. We're getting training on interdisciplinary collaboration, PLCs, how to work with data, how your work aligns to that school improvement plan, all of those kinds of things in that cross training. Sometimes we just have to talk about issues that are going on. Other things that we do for the vision is writing a lot of things down. Some of the things that I think I enjoyed the most is trying to bring some of the health and human services type structures into the school environment. So we have also been tinkering with trying to provide some peer supervision. Again, when you're in that building, you're by yourself, but you need sometimes to be able to staff a case or hear how someone else is doing it. And it's good you can reach out on your own, but it's also helpful to have those kinds of things in place. So we have a monthly virtual office hour where I have my whole leadership team on there. And so if folks don't staff a case, then sometimes we staff cases based on we've all been getting a lot of calls about a specific thing, or we've learned a new resource, or there's a policy coming up, a new program, and we want their feedback and their input on how we're doing or what the needs are. So those are some of the kinds of things that we're doing. A lot of ongoing, continuous support, communicating that message on our website, through our training, through our messaging, having that elevator speech ready at all times. Um, those are some of the things, using grant funding opportunities to really promote and help us do some things that we maybe ordinarily wouldn't do. Like right now, we have we have an over $5 million grant from the U.S. Department of Education. It's a mental health demonstration grant. That is what the currently it's the largest grant funded initiative in the district, and I don't know whenever $5 million has been spent on student services. Yep, over the course of 5 years. So we're doing a lot of transformation right now as a result of being a part of that grant. So thank you, U.S. Department of Ed.
That is amazing. Kudos to you guys. Congratulations. That is beautiful. That is so, so beautiful because statistically and research wise, when I think about over the years, and I'm sure that that's a part of probably why you all, went after the grant, is just to have that reflection of what's going on with our students. It is heartbreaking. It truly, truly is, because we feel that children's roles are to just be, to learn, to enjoy life, to take things in, and to try to grow up, to be adults, just to try to grow up. But we know that's not the reality that we're in right now. We're far, far from it. So kudos to that grant. I am so looking forward to hearing more about it. But as of right now, guys, I'm getting the signal. It's time for another commercial break. I
Oh,
told you Dr. Scott was going to bring some good stuff to you all. Don't go away. We have more to share.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality? But it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating. Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant. Like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Oh gosh, guys, welcome, 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 welcome back, and great Saturday morning to each and every one of you once again. I am Dr. RC, your host, and yes, this is Dare to Soar, coming to you live from the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. I told you Dr. Natasha Scott was going to bring a wealth of information, and she has certainly been doing this, some innovative ideas, some creativity. Hey, let's give it up for that $5 million grant. She and I were dialoguing about that during the commercial break. Guys, you're going to have to tap into this brain. I don't want to get too far because my time is going by so quickly, and I'm so excited,
So
as you can
fast.
tell. But Dr. Scott, how do you see the role of social workers evolving in schools, especially given the complex challenges students face today?
The irony of that question is school social workers got our start as the home visiting teachers. In a lot of states, we were truancy officers first before we had school social workers. So I do see the role evolving and having more focus on using school social workers to address the youth mental health crisis. I even heard something the other day about that loneliness is a crisis right now
Yeah.
in our country. They were actually using those terms. So certainly there'll be more focus on on that focus on addressing the mental health needs. But I think that we will not get away from the school attendance
No,
responsibility,
no.
because there also happens to be a national issue with students being engaged and
Yes.
coming to school. There's a chronic attendance problem across the nation. So I think that we will be looking at things like how can we utilize AI and telehealth and those kind of things um, to support our roles, and also to manage the caseload. Because
Mhm.
now, all that focus on a handful of at-risk kids, when really every kid in the building could use a little piece of that school social worker. Everybody needs a little bit of school social worker in their life. And so I think everybody. So I think that the mental health focus, they'll continue to be heavily involved in having to find new ways to bridge that gap for school attendance, something other than just hauling people to court. You got to do something more than that. And then the other thing is, at least in our district, we are putting a lot of focus on gone are the days of talking about database decision making, but I'm actually looking to see that you are collecting data and that you're utilizing it and actually doing presentations in your school on the data collected around the work that you're doing. Because I can have a vision and my team can have a vision, but the school social worker in her individual school, she also has to be communicating the vision and sharing the
Yes.
data and marketing the program. It's not just about what the professional association is doing,
Mhm.
what's happening at the central office. You have to be that leader in your building that is also ringing the bell. A board
Mhm.
member said to me one day, "It's a poor frog who can't croak in their own backyard."
Whew.
So I'm gonna do all the croaking that I need to do, but school social workers got to be croaking too in there on your own little lily pad right there. You said earlier, come in with confidence and speak to that principal and be able to say, "This is who I am and this is what I do." So they've got to be doing that as well. That's my soapbox, and I'm sticking to it.
Hey, and I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you because it is so true. If you can't speak up for yourself, you can't expect anyone to do it for you. We can build you
Mhm.
up and give you the confidence and give you those tools, but your voice in that space has to be authentic and it has to be yours because you know what's happening within that school and that community, or you should know. And if you don't familiarize, take the time to familiarize yourself. I'm going to get off of that because this next question. Whew, I'm going to take a breath before I ask because I know it's a hot topic.
It
What
is.
steps have you taken to address issues of equity and inclusion in student services and the student services that you oversee?
One is being transparent and having crucial conversations. So when we're putting programs together, representation matters. And so even if it's just like a little committee to look at, I don't know, whatever it is, but if we're pulling folks in, we have conversations about how many men, how many female, how many males and how many females are in the group, how many blacks, how many whites.
Hmm.
Who's missing? Do we need to have in our district? We have a large percentage of Native American children. Is there anybody at the table representing the needs of Native Americans? You know, that kind of thing. So just being very transparent and intentional is the word I want to use about who is at the table. And with that intentionality, we've been talking about data. So we've worked very hard over the last couple years to set up actual data systems that work for us to collect data on the work that we're doing, whether it's small groups or what. But in that data that we're collecting about all these mental health initiatives, we collect data on how many of the students are special ed, have 504s, but then we even look at things like here we have a large percentage of military connected. I also
Hmm.
want to know, are my EL students represented? Are they getting the same opportunity? Is anybody reaching out to make sure that those EL students get to participate in the small groups and all these things that we're pushing down, or is it just kind of like, well, it's on the marquee. If they see it, they see it. Are we really doing that? So we are collecting some, we have some data systems where we are looking and having routine conversations about who's actually receiving the services that we receive. So those are some of the, just some of the small kinds of things that we're doing.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Oh gosh, guys, 1-866-451-1451. The time is going by so quickly, and I do have more and more questions for Dr. Scott, but I know that I can't get them all in. But this is one critical question because we talk about the staff and the adults that are working with our students. But share with the Dare to Soar audience, how do you ensure that students' voices are heard and considered in the decision making process?
All right. So one of the things that we've started doing is over the last several years, there's nothing that keeps me in the school building at all times. Get in my little car. So I'll give you a case in point. A new program we have called Alongside. It has a little bit of AI in it. It's a telehealth program for students. As we got out there to get feedback from staff, meaning social workers and principals. We also had some focus groups where we pulled together groups of students and let them try out the program along with their parents and give us feedback on, would you utilize something like this? Is this something that we need? I also let them give me feedback on how to market the program. And then as our communications department created videos and signage and that kind of thing, we used real students in the district, their voices, their faces, and their parents to promote the program in the district. So, all kinds of mechanisms again to get feedback from students. That same program that I just talked about alongside students, we can also in that program see some feedback from students because they can. You can see what videos they're watching. You can see what their primary concerns are. And again, looking at those kind of things, youth risk behavior survey, promoting uh, participation in those kinds of things, because that gives you youth voice. But again, just going and talking to students, they've got a lot to say. And I have been so impressed. That was actually the highlight of my job last year, was really the amount of conversations that I had with teenagers as they talked to me about the Alongside app and why they needed it or why they felt they didn't need it, or their ideas on how of what I should do to promote it to students. They said they need merch. Anyways, they had lots of ideas, and it was delightful, and just really heartwarming to hear what they had to say. And we need to talk to them more.
I love it. And now, I'm a true believer that they have voices as well. And we have to be tuned in. We can't make the decisions one sided because they know what they like, they know what they don't like, and they know what will capture the attention of their friends as well. Now, with that being shared, what advice would you give to an aspiring social worker or aspiring social workers who just want to lead with purpose and make a transformative impact?
The first thing I would say is lead where you are. So if you're a school social worker, you're a CPS social worker, whatever type of social worker you are, student intern, uh, be the best that you can be in that job. To walk in standing tall, knowing who you are, and not being afraid to speak up. So start there first. That would be the number one thing. And then I would say get involved in your professional organizations so that you can network with other social workers in your field. Also, so you can have an idea to find out what else is out there that you may be interested in that you don't even know about. But when you're out there networking with other social workers and delving into your professional organizations, you can really get exposed to some opportunities that you may not have otherwise been privy to. Find a good mentor, a trusted mentor, and stay close to that mentor. Talk to them and actually listen and reflect on the, I'll say, guidance that they provide to you. And I would say that leadership is a journey. Um, it is more than just carrying a title and wearing pretty clothes and bossing up and flexing. It is so much more than that. Leadership is a journey. And so much of what I do is really about pouring into the people on my team. And I have to tell you, it didn't really get really good until you learn how to really develop that team and you guys get on the same page with that vision because you really need them to help you to push it forward. So so those are some of the things, but starting where you are, and up. Sometimes we're so focused on 5 years from now, 2 years from now, all that stuff down the road. Be present in the moment. And what are some of those experiences in your current job that will help you, that can be purposeful and intentional to what your end game is going to be?
I love it. I love it. Guys, it is time for another commercial break. I just have one final question for Dr. Scott when we return. We'll be right back.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio, as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com.
Welcome back, guys. I am going to try my best to keep this brief. My time has gone so quickly. I am Dr. RC, and this is Dare to Soar. We've been having such a great conversation with Dr. Natasha Scott, leading with purpose. So, as I wrap up my final moments, Dr. Scott, what keeps you motivated and grounded in your work, especially during difficult times?
I would say learning how to find the striking the balance between my personal and my professional life. So, I spoke earlier about really feeling like school social work in particular is not just a place I landed. I feel like it's my personal ministry and I absolutely love it, but that doesn't mean that I'm not challenged by it. Um, and that I'm just like everybody else. I can be challenged by it and lose focus. And, I told you very early on, I wanted to throw in the towel and go be a therapist, and I just kept finding myself being drawn back to the school setting. But I would say just knowing how to strike the personal balance. So as much as I really love school social work, I also have hobbies and things that I do just simply because it pours into me, like traveling, gardening. We mentioned the fur baby, the diva dog, Miss Missy, the Yorkie, all of those kinds of things pour into Natasha Scott so I can keep my energy up to want to come back and fight another day. As young Natasha, 22-year-old Natasha, she was ready for whatever fight you brought to me. She was ready. She had the mouth for it. She had the energy for it, and I was ready to take it on. 50-year-old Natasha is a lot more intentional about, is this the mound that I'm willing to die over? Is it the
Mm,
mound? So you got to make some decisions sometimes about which battles you're going to take, which
yes.
battles you're going to take on, and which ones you're going to walk away from. Because I want to live to come back and fight another day. Because there are sometimes some bigger fish that you need to fry, and so if you're out there just chasing behind every single thing that pops up, you're gonna just be tired and worn out, and you won't be able to give your best. So 50-year-old Natasha that's 26 years into this thing, I understand now that it really is about being intentional and strategic in terms of battles. Some things you just catalog and you're gonna fight it another day. They just don't know you
Yes.
coming back. They don't know you're gonna circle right back around to that same thing. You just had to set it to the side and wait for timing because timing is everything. Anyway, into a whole nother soapbox, but but those are the things that I use to ground myself.
Thank you so much. And I just love the way you said for another day. For another day, I'm going to hold right there.
Mhm.
So please share with the listeners how they can connect with you to learn about, your work and initiatives.
Yes. So I don't have a big social media presence, but I am an avid email checker. So they can reach out to me on my personal email, which is dnscott@gmail.com. D as in Deirdre, N for Natasha, Scott, MSW, DN Scott, Master Social Worker at gmail.com. That is the best way to connect with me. You can also find me on LinkedIn, so you can reach out to me there. And you can also contact me at 910 678 2433. That's the office number there at Cumberland County Schools. So you can reach out to me by phone, LinkedIn, or just a good old email.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Scott, for spending your Saturday with me. It has been an absolute, and I truly knew, I mean, an absolute pleasure having this discussion with you this morning. You could have took your time and spent it anywhere else, but you decided to spend with me, Dr. RC, on Dare to Soar. Guys, that is my time for this morning. My prayer is always that every episode, every show that I bring you across the globe, that you enjoy it. Tell a friend, have them to tap back into the replay. You can reach out to me at any point in time and ask questions also. But as I want to end the show, never be afraid to elevate to new heights as you spread your wings and dare to soar. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and take care.
This has been Dare to Soar with your host, Dr. RC. Come take a ride and soar to your highest level possible each week on Dr. RC's Dare to Soar.